Hey guys, it's Cam, and welcome back to Shredcraft RC. Today I'm getting the cars ready to go to the track tonight, so I was gonna go over with you my alignment settings. I guess I had a lot of questions on the last video with the setup, and I guess I really didn't include a lot of information as far as like alignment settings. So the MD1 is all adjustable turnbuckles. So it is setting up your alignment for how you like to drive. And then the RDX is plastic arms, and this thing doesn't really need to go on the rack, but I will throw both cars on the rack and I will show you kind of my alignment settings and some of the things I do before I go to the track to make sure the cars are ready to rip. And then we'll go to the track and I'll share some of that footage in this video. So yeah, enjoy, and I'll be back with the MD1 on the alignment rack. Alright, got the car on the rack, and this is the Racing alignment rack. So first thing you're going to want to do is make sure you have a battery in the car, and then you're going to want to go ahead and turn on the car. So I have my fans unplugged right now just for sound. And what's this going to do? Turn on your servo, make sure everything's straight, I guess, in the receiver. And then the first thing that I do is I check camber. So that is this reading down here, and this tells you how much negative camber each wheel has. And another thing to do before you get started is make sure you have your turnbuckle wrench ready to go. So if you can see, this wheel might be positive just a little bit, or has less camber than this wheel. So what I'll do is I'll spin this turnbuckle in, maybe a quarter turn, and you see how it pivots on the pivot ball? I always spin it back so it's even on the pivot ball both sides. And then I'll check again and it looks like both of these are right about 9 degrees. And that's kind of, I vary between 9 and 10 degrees of negative camber on the front end. And then what you can do after you set your camber, you can check your toe, and now the two measurements relate to each other. So when you change camber, your toe will change. When you change toe, your camber will change, and you have to fine tune it and kind of dial it in and check back and forth. So what you do with this is you put this rack on top and you slide it from one side, and it'll give you a reading here. And this right now has about 5 degrees. And if I go to here, I have maybe 2 degrees. So I know that this wheel is more towed out than this wheel. So what I'll do again is I'm going to turn this turnbuckle out to tow this wheel in, because typically I like to be around 2 and 3 degrees. So usually a quarter turn is a degree. And so now I want to go a couple degrees. Again, just make sure this turnbuckle is free moving and not pinched on the ball. And then I'll go back and check. And you can also kind of wiggle the wheels a little with the remote. And then I also like to kind of just tap the outside here to make sure our reading is all the way out. So then if I push it back here, just a little tap. You can also tap the suspension and get it back, and they'll give you another reading. So I can still see that this wheel is towed out a little bit. So I'm going to bring this turnbuckle out some more. Again, bounce the suspension, tap it, and that looks like it's right about 2 degrees. This one, right about 2 degrees. So now both my wheels are facing the same direction with the same amount of toe out in the front. And that is my setting for my toe and my camber. Let's see what else here on the front. I'll just make sure that the wheels are facing forwards and not kicked off to one side or the other. On the rear of the car, let's see if I can turn it this way to make it easier. I like to run about -3 degrees of camber. Let me move this out. -3 degrees on both wheels. And Again, camber links are in the stock factory position, just because I like how that rolls and flattens the wheel out when the car is loaded. It might be hard to see on camera. It's also good to when you throw your wheels on, look under the tire and see how much contact patch is under the tire, and that's one of those other things that's hard to show on camera. So yeah, negative 3 degrees of camber in the back. I have about a degree of toe in, and you can do the same measurement with this plate, but I have these posts here, so it's in the motor's in the high position, so it's kind of hard to get it. But per manual of the MD1, depending on how you have your lower arm mounts pushed into the aluminum frame, is how much toe you can have in this chassis. So there's only like 3 settings. It goes -1, half a degree toe in, and then 0. So I believe I'm all the way towed in to 1 degree. Yeah, so that is kind of the basic rundown on the alignment here. So just make sure your car's on, you have a battery in it, so your weight is typically near what it's going to be minus a body, which is usually 100 to 200 grams at the max. You can move your suspension around and then check again. After you check camber and toe, go back and check your camber to make sure it's even across. A lot of people like to tune with measuring the arm lengths, and I'll do that to see if I'm in the same ballpark and close enough, but I always check the rack to check the numbers, or I'll use a little camber gauge at the track just to check in case you take a hard hit and maybe a wheel gets out of alignment. So that's the MD1. I'll throw the RDX on and kind of show you what the plastic links are out of the box. Alright, I'm back here with the RDX plastic linked drift car, and it's on the alignment rack. Got my fans unplugged, battery in here, bounce the suspension around a little bit, go ahead and turn it on, and I'll go ahead and show you here. This right now looks like it's about 8 degrees across the board of negative camber. I don't know why the servo's making noise there. That ReveD servo is honestly giving me a little trouble out of the box. A little jittery. People say you can tune it out, so I'll work on getting that done. So again, 3 degrees toe out on that side, and then it looks like it's about maybe 5 on that side of toe out. So maybe my wheels aren't straight here. 4 degrees, and I guess that's closer to 4, maybe 5 degrees on each wheel. So it does have toe out. I guess it's good. It keeps the car nice and stable at full angle, full lock. The rear has, so this is one part I did change, is I added turnbuckles so I could dial camber out, because it had about 4 degrees, 4.5 degrees of negative camber, and I tuned that to about 3, like I typically like on my other chassis. And then I raised the link mount so I have a flatter wheel when the car is loaded up and more camber gain as the car squats. So that's the setup there. And one thing I forgot to mention on the MD1 with this alignment rack is if you want to check your caster, you have these numbers here, just if you want to get an idea. Now caster is how you like the feel of the car. More caster will be more stable at drift, but it's going to be a slower setup, less responsive to the wheels. Less caster is going to be a super fast, snappy steering, but you're going to have less side kind of control when the car's sliding sideways. And with drifting, you're never really going straight. You're always sideways. The car's always going to be at angle, typically. So that's why you run so much camber. So and caster will play with camber. As you turn the wheels to a 45-degree angle, your wheel's going to start to flatten out, and you can see that with the camber change. That's about halfway through lock, and I'm at 0 degrees. So that's typically where most of your driving is done, you're between here and here. So this will go all the way to 5 degrees positive at full lock. Now for caster, you just stick your wrench here in the kingpin and you see kind of where it's lining up here if you hold it straight. So this is about, I would say, 6 to 7 degrees. And that's usually the right range for a drift car. You don't, if it was a touring car, maybe you'd take some of that out so you'd have a faster steering response, but with drifting, you don't necessarily need a super fast steering response. It's better to have a smoother response, and this will let the wheels travel, I guess in my opinion, smoother from lock to lock or angle to angle. So yeah, basic overview on just checking the cars before I go to the track. Make sure the shocks are working. You also want to make sure your steering is straight again, so double check all that stuff. Somebody was talking some shit on the comments about fan trads or just putting fans on the car, so I definitely do. I don't see why you're mad about that, because if you want to keep your stuff cool, if you're hot lapping a whole battery pack at the track, it's how you keep your car cool. I don't understand that guy's logic, but you know, people are on keyboards, they can say whatever they want. It doesn't bother me either way. I tend to be straight up and say it like it is instead of sugarcoating things or covering things up and lying about it, because there's no reason. That's why I'm here showing you my full tune and setup, because hopefully maybe this helps some people. And I saw some comments there that people did enjoy it and it helped them with their setup, so I always appreciate those people, and I like to comment back and say thank you. So I appreciate all the new subscribers with the drift tuning and drift setup. I'm gonna toss the wheels back on this thing and pack my bag, and I'll show you. Maybe I'll make that another video of what I keep in my bag. So thanks for tuning in, and thanks for all those new subscribers. If you like this stuff, hit that thumbs up button, because that definitely helps with the YouTube algorithm. I'm going to try to keep pushing some higher quality content, and I'll throw some clips from the track in this one. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.